Howdy, howdy, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I got a kind of maybe a little funny video, and it's interesting things. A little go from one thing to another about the other side. Things that I think is kind of interesting. Things that happened for what I've seen. Like I said, we have a lot of different out of body people and philosophies and spiritualism and everything else, and they all see different things, do different things. So I'm not trying to, step on anybody's toe, but this is what I've seen, what I've done. So, and that's all I can. So I'd appreciate it if you want to stick by and hang out and see what it's like. By the way, I've got a lot of videos. No, not a lot, but maybe about 15 or 16 videos that I've done. I don't know if any of you out there have really gone back and checked my channel out. There's a wealth of information. I mean, on the other side, stories, things like that. And there's also, steps 1 through 4, and there's 2 and step 4 about how to get out, depth details. So you may want to go back and check it out if you want to, if you missed them. Go to my channel and you can, there's a lot of good tapes there. Teach you a lot. But anyway, oh, and by the way, if you want to leave a like or comment, I'd appreciate it. I've got nothing to do these days but kind of read the comments. Anyway, one thing I noticed that was kind of funny, at least I thought it was funny, was I met some people on the other side. The people I've met have all been on the higher rounds, which I'm going to cover later. But they've been higher round people, and they're nice, and they're loving, and they're a pleasure to be with if you get up to the higher rounds. But I'm going to tell you about that. But anyway, I was with a couple of them, and they were talking to me, and they says, "Hey, Jack," they says, "Hey, you're not breathing." And I went, they caught me, off guard. And I was like, "Yeah, because you don't breathe over there." And they say, "Hey, Jack, your heart stopped." So, flinched for a second. But it's no big deal. But, they were in there laughing. They'd laugh over there, too. Anyway, another thing that I've been in a lot of houses. Pretty much most everybody has houses over there. Some big fancy mansions, some really conservative places. And I've been in, a few houses over there. And the funny thing about it is usually, at least the houses I've been in, there's no stairs. They have upstairs, but they don't have any stairs to get up there. And what I found when they do go up there, they just kind of vanish for a second, and they're up, they're up on the second level. And they don't necessarily have the big gray fog and that comes around and gets, like I said in the other videos, that come around and stop, and then when it disappears, they're there. They just all of a sudden they're standing and they're up there. So I guess that means you can demand yourself to like short distances, go from here to there, and you don't need stairs. But they didn't float up necessarily. They didn't anything like that. But I thought that was kind of interesting, having upstairs with no, upstairs level with no stairs. And they have another thing I noticed on some of the houses I've been in, that they have like pictures on the wall. Like this one, I was in a lady's house, and she had a picture in the hallway, and it's like our pictures. And it was, I don't know, maybe 3 long by a couple feet wide, and it was a newlywed couple who were on the front of the church, like what you see here, and they were leaving, to go to the reception or whatever, and when I stopped and looked at it, all of a sudden it was like a movie. It just started going all by itself, and I could see him walking down, and the steps of the church, and so I asked her about it. And she says, well, a lot of the pictures they have, that was, she had been down to Earth, in an incarnation body, and that was her wedding. That was on Earth, and she ended up, so I don't know how it was videoed or whatever. It probably wasn't. But not anytime, but certain pictures, if you look at it, if they're set up that way, you can look and you can see it happening. and which is really, kind of a neat thing to do, and it goes on for maybe a minute or two or whatever. I don't know how long it'll stick around, but then they'll kind of like it'll stop and go back to where it was, just like you'd think in a movie or something it would be. And there's another good thing on that era there or thing. There's they do read books over there, which I thought. I have one person I know over there, Higher Realm. She reads a lot of books, and they have regular books over there. It's kind of weird. You wouldn't think they would, or maybe I don't know, but they, and I never seen what language is written on them or what, but I seen them when I stopped in. They're reading a book at the time because you pop in, and they tell me that when you read a book, if it's say an adventure thing or whatever, but what's happening in the book is it's really happening to you as the character. And I know when we read books in our mind, we're maybe imagining us that way or something like that. But she said in this way that the books actually, it's like if you're on a boat, you're seeing what the character is seeing, and it's really happening. You might say, you'll smell the ocean, you'll hear the noises, it's kind of a strange thing. Fascinating to me. I thought it was, but I thought that was a really interesting thing. Another thing in the houses, when you walk in, and if you go into a house that's got, say, a room that doesn't have any windows, and you go in there and it's lit up, and there's no lights. In other words, say if you were going in at your house at nighttime in the bedroom, you have to turn on a light. There's no light switches, but it would be just like like daytime in there, and there's no light source, which I think is kind of cool. Another thing too is over there, if you have your own realm, which you can if you want, you can. They don't have any sun out there unless you want a sun. If you want a sun, make a sun. It's there. But basically, what it is the sky's lit up. If you want a blue sky, it's blue. Or anything you want is going to happen. And if you want a sun out there, it'll be there. If you don't, it's not. But if you want light, sunlight, like a sunlight, it's there without a sun. Everything's lit up, and just like a normal situation. If you want to have night, you just think about night, and it's nighttime. You think about stars, but it's kind of weird. If you want to have it like Earth, like so many hours, or there's kind of no time over there, but certain hours where it's daylight, and certain hours it goes to nighttime. It happens. It happens. Whatever you want in your realm happens. And you don't. And another nice thing I was telling you in other videos, that you don't have to really think about, okay, well, now I want it to be nighttime. Everything around you works without you even thinking about it. It knows what you want it to do. Like you wouldn't have to say, like I said, go out and say, well, I want it to be daylight now. All of a sudden it turns daylight. That'll happen too, but basically, it knows what you want to do. It's kind of like if you want to get a glass of water and you're going to go get one, you don't think, well, okay, I'm going to go get a glass of water, I'm going to get a glass. It just happens. It knows what you want, without you even speaking it or really basically even thinking about it, which is pretty interesting. So a lot of times they have nighttime out there, and they'll and it'll be daytime. Some people just like the daytime, and it's there all the time. Some people like sun, it's there. So I haven't been around that many places over there, but the few I've been, that's the way it is. But another thing is there's another nice thing. I met this person one time, and the person says, well, it was a lady, nice lady, and I was wanting to learn about the other side, and the higher realms, and and I needed somebody to teach me. And I asked her to, and she said, "Yeah, I'll be happy." So I said, "Well, how do I, get a hold of you?" She says, "Well, just think of me, and you'll come to me when you're out of body. Just think I want to go, and just think of me, and I'll." So that's what I did. I got out. The next time I got out, I thought there, and all of a sudden, the gray fog came around me, and all of a sudden I was, and the gray fog disappeared, and I was floating about 30 feet off the ground. It was beautiful for miles and miles and miles. There was all these beautiful green flowers. No, they were yellow flowers and a long green stem, kind of like a daffodil or something like that. And they were so thick they were like a carpet. And they were swaying, from side to side, like a thick. You could see the green and the yellow, gorgeous, gorgeous. And so I was, they gave off like a music, kind of a humming, kind of a musical hum sound, which is really cool. I mean, it's not like a song, but it's just like a humming and a musical kind of a thing. To me, it sound like. So then I was talking, so I floated down, and she was there. She was reading a book, and she was sitting out in a chair and had a little table, and she had a little glass of kind of a red, which I found out later was like a raspberry tea kind of a thing, and that was her favorite drink. She was drinking that, and so she says, "Oh, glad you stopped by, and I said, "Yeah, got a lot of questions if you wouldn't mind." She said, "Sure, let's go to the house." And so I didn't know. I thought she was going to take me by the hand and fly me somewhere, But all of a sudden, the gray fog was everywhere. It just surrounded me, and I couldn't see anything, And it went on about a few seconds, and it cleared up, and we were at this house, conservative house, no big mansion thing, and all the scenery had changed and everything. There's beautiful mountain scenes, and it was a beautiful place. But anyway, and I says, "Well, how did we get here?" You know what I mean? I figured we had to materialize, or I don't know. I just, I was just getting into the higher realms then, and didn't know anything what was going on. And she said, "I didn't take you anywhere." She says, "We're at the same spot where the field of flowers were. This is the house, and I stay here most of the time. And then when I want to go to a field, I don't have to fly there. I just make everything appear. My home, everything disappears, and the field of flowers comes in." Does that make sense? I know it's kind of maybe complicated, maybe it isn't. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And so anyway, then the other thing I was going to say is, which I'm going to get into more depth in some other videos. But when you get out, which I spent years at the lower level, it's just kind of like around Earth when you get out and you're still in your house kind of a thing, or, there's not, the people there are great, but they're kind of the people that could give you a hard time, could, kind of scare you a little bit, or they're just, they're people that aren't really filled with love and kindness and understanding like they are at the higher level. The higher levels you go, the more beautiful it is, the more power you have, the friendlier, more wonderful the people are. So which I didn't know for a long time, and so that's and they were always standing around, and I don't know. It's just you have to do it, I didn't have anybody really bother me or anything, but they were, So if you get out and you say, well, I want to go to the higher levels, and since you don't know anybody at a higher level yet, you're just going to go somewhere, but it'll be in a higher level, and like I said, you'll have the problem. Well, with me, I always had the gray fog and come around for a couple of seconds, and it'll be gone, then I'd be somewhere else. Now, I have people on the other side that I could go see, and then I don't know the level. I just go to them, and whatever level they're at, that's where I go. So it's a lot better if you want to, go to a higher level. If you're brand new at this, I would probably suggest kind of hanging around the lower levels and kind of get the feel of everything, and then over time, say you want to go to the higher levels and see what happens. Another thing I was going to point out, everybody wants to fly, and that's fine, and they want to go do that. But a lot of people are unstable when they get up and they think about falling, and they fall, and they have all kinds of weird. So little advice: if you're gonna fly, you want to look like you're driving. You know, when you drive, you don't look at the end of the hood. You look way out there. The same thing. If you're flying, look a mile down the road, or not the road, but the air, and you can go ahead and you'll be more stable that way. You won't think about till you get better at it. Then you can look around underneath you, but since anything you think about, probably going to happen. So that's a little suggestion I have, something like that. And another thing is the Empire. I had this one thing, Empire State Building. This is when I got into it. I wanted to create the Empire State Building in Newark. I just wanted it. I for some stupid reason. So I says, well, I want the Empire State Building to be here. And in about 4 seconds, the fog came in, and there was the Empire State Building. I mean, the whole to scale. I mean, and I looked at it, and it was, I guess, whatever. Trying to make this right. Whatever the exact time that I wanted to appear was the exact time it was in New York City, and an exact condition the Empire State Building was in at that time. In other words, so I went in, and there was nobody in it, but like there was coffee cups with some, half the coffee in them. If there was a smudge on the window, there's a smudge on the Empire State Building you created. In other words, if there's dirt on the floor, there's somebody's coat hanging on a rack. So it's all there exactly. I mean, it is an exact replica of that time, that moment in time. And that was, it's incredible how they do that. And like I said, though, I didn't go through the whole thing. Obviously, it just went in and went out. But I did notice that there was magazines thrown on the ground or whatever. It was just the way it was, and I thought that was really interesting. It's like whenever, I guess my understanding is the energy that forms, which is all around you. You can't see it necessarily, but the energy forms what you want it to form, and it's tied into the mind of God, the brain of God, which knows everything, I guess. So when you want the Empire State Building, it's intact, and it knows what God knows, and God knows everything. So it takes it literally, and that's what you get. So I know this is a lot of far-fetched stuff, but get out and try it. I mean, call my bluff. You think I'm making this up or something? Hey, go do it. I mean, it's right there. Take it. I want you to. And the other thing I wanted to say was, there's a lot of fear. I had it too, about people on the other side. If especially in the lower levels, you see somebody and they're not really friendly, or they're not, you get a little scared. Just remember, you're just as powerful as they are. You don't know that because you kind of, like I said, it's kind of a foreign country to you. At the time, you don't know that, but they can't hurt you and they can't do anything to you. All they can do is try and scare you. And if they want to scare you, never had much of that happening either. So just keep that in mind. You're just as powerful as anyone out there. So keep that in mind. Well, those couple of things that I thought you may like to hear about. But anyway, appreciate it. And there's one more thing I wanted to say real quick, is that I have 4 sons, and they're all older now, but all of them have got out of body. 2 of them get out pretty regular and the other 2 have had kind of spontaneous. 2 of my daughter-in-laws One got out regularly, and another one got out occasionally. And so, as my sons grew up, in their later teens, out of body is just a spoken word around here. It's not, you can talk about it, everybody understands it, talks about it. And this is, now that they're older, and I'm getting older, and Connie is getting older, it's good to know that they've been brought up, to a point, with out of body as something that's a fact. And especially since they've experienced it. And so, and two of them, quite a bit, still doing it. One of them's doing it quite a bit. Does it on a regular basis. But it's nice to know, like when we pass, the wife and I pass, that we can go see mom, dad, and they understand that it's not death. It's just a passing on to another side. And I think this is, in my opinion, why it would be great for everybody to experience out of body at least once or twice. Know what it's about, know what it's like, and so that they get that peace of mind about dying, what's on the other side, what's mom and dad doing over there, It's just part of life that without out of body is forgotten about, or not forgotten about, but just unknown. So I'd like to have you think about that if you wouldn't mind. But thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks, bye.